Hi, welcome back. In previous section, we have seen how to create transactions using declarative and programmatic way, but theoretically. Means we have seen for programmatic way, we need to use transaction template or transaction manager, which are provided by Spring Boot APIs, and also we can use at the rate of transaction annotation declarative way to create transactions. So I have created a sample application. I have added some dependency in pom.xml such as Spring Starter Web, Spring Data JPA, H2 database, and Lombok. So as you know the basic uses of those dependencies, I'm not going to explain them. So I have created uh, two models or entities. One is order, which contains attributes ID, product name, price, and user ID, and another entity or model is ID, username, email. I also created one controller. So in this controller, I have created two endpoints: programmatic using transaction manager and programmatic using transaction template. So we'll be looking at those two endpoint first. So using transaction manager here, what we are doing, we are calling we are calling create order using transaction manager function of user service. So this function uses transaction manager to create transaction. Here initially we have created transaction definition and transaction status objects. Initially we have created object of transaction definition and passing it to transaction status. So this object will give us the status of our transaction. And then what we are doing, we are creating a new user and saving it to database using user repository. And then we are calling a function from order service. We are to add the order service, and lastly we are calling transaction manager.commit. As we know, using programmatic transaction, we can handle transaction commit, transaction rollback, and transaction begin manually. So this is example of transaction management using programmatic way using transaction manager. So let me run this program. So let me, as I discussed, I will be triggering this endpoint from browser. As we can see, there is a success response, and if you go to logs, we'll be getting the order details such as where transaction is created, creating a new transaction with name, null, propagation required, isolation default. So we haven't set the propagation and isolation levels, so it's taking default values. Similarly, it's printing this uh, log statement transaction committed.